Hey guys, it's Scott with Scotty B Cards. In this episode, I want to discuss what I believe is the very best modern investment set. So before we jump into it, I just want to say if you are a sports card, trading card, baseball card fan, then this is the channel for you. We post 2 to 3 times each and every week exclusively about this content. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Okay, I'm not going to quite reveal what that set is quite yet, but I'm going to jump right into the actual video and it'll explain everything along the way. So the very first thing I want to say is one of the very best investment sets of the 1980s and early 1990s is Topps Tiffany. Topps Tiffany, if you don't know what it is, it's basically a premium version of the original Topps set. So right here on the side, you see a 1989 Topps Rated Ken Griffey Jr. Tiffany version. That's a PSA 10. And these go for substantially more than the PSA 10 versions. These go for, I believe, $3,000-ish, while the PSA 10s go for about $500-ish. So it's a pretty big gap, and it's because they're much more short printed. But on top of that, as you can see, it's a same card, same everything, but it has a thicker stock, and it is a better stock itself. The back, you can tell, is the whiter version versus this, brownish grayish version. So Topps Tiffany was released and it focused on like the issue of overprinting. It wanted to create a product that was more visually appealing and that was more limited than just the unlimited amount of packs. Back in this era, Topps printed just one set, especially in the 80s. Later on they did Bowman and all those other things as well. Back in the 80s, they really only printed one set. Later on in the 90s, they had like Finest and a couple other brands. Stadium Club was not from Topps, but it was another brand itself. But Topps even had its own overarching umbrella over other certain titles and products. But back in the 80s, they wanted to distinguish between regular Topps and a better version, so they made Topps Tiffany. And Topps Tiffany is a much more premium set just because it is a much more short printed set, and on top of that, it is a better product. And like I said, the only real difference is the stock of the card and the printing quality. So the original Topps Tiffany set was released in 1984 and there were 10,000 sets made. It wasn't packs. You got the entire set in a complete set box and then you could open it and look through them and whatever else. So at the time it wasn't as popular as it is, like those sets would be today, but it still was something collectors gravitated towards simply because of the fact that it was scarce. That is something that was not in, the 1980s. On average, sets were limited to like 5,000 to 30,000. A lot of the sets were not actually revealed how many they had. I would say they're about 15,000 made on average. And Topps Tiffany ran from 1984 to 1991. And even Bowman Tiffany was released in 1989 and 1990. So this is the very best set to collect of rookies of these years. Like the 1989 Topps Traded Ken Griffey Jr. or the 1989 Topps Traded Randy Johnson. There's a lot of players that are worth a lot more. The 1986 Barry Bonds Topps Traded is a very big one. Those were going for around $15,000 in the PSA 10 when everything was spiking in the earlier this year. I think they're about $5,000 to $6,000 now. Still really expensive compared to the $400 to $500 for his base card. About 10 times more. And so there is a set today that I think is going to be very similar to Topps Tiffany, and it kind of even has a name similar to Topps Tiffany in my mind, and that's Topps Chrome Sapphire. Topps Chrome Sapphire was released in almost the exact same identical package. It was released in a complete set. Granted, print runs now for the base cards for Topps Chrome is much lower than base Topps cards were in the 1980s and 90s. So the Topps Chrome Sapphire set was also more limited. In 2016, it was $1,500 per set, and everybody was balking at this price. I remember it specifically. But in that set, there were only 250 sets made. It was all 1 through 700 of Series 1 and 2. You got 2 superfractors per box, and you got 10 cards numbered to 5. So that set was ridiculous for $1,500. I actually was going to buy one that was on eBay it was on Blowout for about $2,000, $2,100, and I didn't do it because I didn't have the funds back last year. So I regret that one, but it is what it is. But like I said, each set came with 10 cards numbered to 5 and 2 superfractors. In 2017, they did the exact same format, but instead of just 2 superfractors and 5 cards, 5 numbered parallels, they also released 5 rookie autographs in that 250 card set. And on top of that, it was just super short printed. So this set became a hobby darling for some people. It didn't take on the premium role that I think it's going to now, like that it's actually started to with this Tatis and Acuna, but it was starting to become that set, and so for that reason in 2018 it was different. Instead of releasing sets of the entire product of 700 cards, Topps realized there was a money-making opportunity, of course, and so they released sets of 100 cards in a box with 3 rookie autographs and 3 parallels, and 1 in 5 contains a superfractor. Production wasn't announced for this set, so I bet you it's still probably not that high, probably 500-ish of each card, maybe less, probably less if you can actually do the math on the back of the box. You can find out exactly based off the superfractor odds, 1 in 5. But overall, the set was very popular. It sold out. This Acuna is a card that is in that set. You have a 1 in 7 chance of getting it, and it goes for a ton of money now. That's because it matches the short printed bat down image variation in Series 2. It does not match his Topps Update rookie card because Topps Update was not around at this time. And for that reason, this is kind of what pushed Topps Sapphire over the edge. After this, the hobby blew up in we know what happens after 2018, 2019, 2020. Things get really out of hand in the hobby. Everybody's collecting, everything's selling out, and these were online exclusives through Topps.com, and they still are. 2019 is the current form that we know. Instead of getting 100 cards or 700 cards, you're getting 32 cards, 6 packs of 4 cards per pack with 1 autograph and 1 parallel. And it feels like the autographs aren't nearly as good as they used to be. When you're getting 5 autographs in 2017, you're almost bound to get at least 1 decent player. So that's kind of a bummer, but it still is a good bang for your buck if you can pull the right player. Out of 700 cards, there's really only 15 players per year that are worth anything, so it's a pretty tough pull. But if you do pull that Tatis, or if you pull that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. now, because he's so popular, he was in there, so is Pete Alonso, Eloy Jimenez, and a bunch of other great rookies from 2019, then you are doing very well in the financial section. In 2020, Topps Chrome Sapphire Update was introduced, completing every single base card, flagship card will have a Sapphire parallel, which is only going to help the value. And it didn't stop there. Now we have Topps Series 1 and 2 and Update in Sapphire, but we also have Bowman Chrome Sapphire. Bowman Chrome Sapphire started in 2019 as Bowman Draft, and that was a very good set. You had Adley Rutschman, you had CJ Abrams, you had a bunch of other really great players in that set, and I think it's very undervalued for what it is. So you can get an Adley Rutschman #1 pick at the time for only, $100 right now. PSA 10 is about $400, but I like to think the way that prospecting is moving, that those have to have more value in the future. It's like if Mike Trout, let's actually say Acuna. Let's say Acuna has a limited product. We actually see it with his regular rookie card. It's worth substantially more than his Topps Chrome rookie card. But let's just say Acuna had a 2017 Bowman Chrome Sapphire card. It would be worth a fortune, especially because they are still short printed. In 2020, Bowman Draft and Bowman Sapphire are both introduced. And like I said a second ago, first Bowmans are really taking off. Back in 2014, when Mookie Betts and Jacob deGrom both had Bowman Chrome first and an update card in that same year, it wasn't as hot. The Bowman Chromes still aren't as hot for those sets, but for the modern players, like Tatis and Acuna, they're really going crazy. Juan Soto doesn't have a first Bowman. He does, but it doesn't say first Bowman and it doesn't match his autograph image, so people don't collect it as much. But first Bowmans are taking off, and I feel like these Sapphires are being underappreciated. And honestly, I think they are also being underappreciated in the actual cards of like Acuna, Tatis, other rookie cards. If you're speculating on a player you like, I think Topps Chrome Sapphire could be one of the very best investments you could take, because if we look at this graph, these run almost in tandem. This is his Topps Chrome Refractor, and this is his Topps Chrome Sapphire. And they run almost in tandem with the actual trends of the market and Acuna's market. As you can see, these graphs basically are following the exact same pattern, but the Topps Chrome Refractor, they came out in the summertime, while these came out later in the season, the Sapphire rookie cards. And so these hit the market slightly later in a PSA 10. But in January of 2019, right here, you can actually see it's still only $50 to $60 for a PSA 10 refractor, while it started out at about $1,000 for the Ronald Acuna PSA 10 Sapphires. And this went all the way up for the Sapphire to about $10,000 at the peak of Acuna. Since the market's come down a little bit, we're sitting right around $6,000 to $7,000, while his refractor is sitting around $600. So there's a really good opportunity there. If you'd have spent, obviously this is a bigger return over time, but this is always going to be the more sought after card, and if Acuna becomes an all-time great, this will be the card, not the Topps Chrome Refractor. The Topps Chrome Sapphire is going to be the go-to card for Acuna. And it's the exact same way for Tatis. It's the same situation here. You can see this is only from 2020, so forgive me while this shows from 2019. But if we go to 2020, you can see that it just follows that same pattern, follows like Acuna did, follows for that same player's cards. But overall, it's a lower pop card and it's going for substantially more. This hit $5,000 while these hit about $1,500. So 3, 4, 5 times, and it's less rare than the Acuna. It's pretty obvious. If there's 277 PSA 10s compared to 250 total made for Ronald Acuna, it's more rare of a card, the Acuna itself, but this still has demand, and it's still a desirable card. Even right now with the market dropping, this is about a $3,000 card plus, and I bet you it goes even higher the way Tatis is playing, and once the market kind of corrects itself back up, if that is to happen. Overall, the Topps Chrome Refractor is sitting around $700, so $700 versus $3,000. I think this Sapphire card will be the go-to Tatis for his flagship image. I don't think that's going to change. I think that's going to be the case for a lot of players. And you're even seeing with some of like the Mike Trouts from 2016, the Mookie Betts from 2016, from that very first year of Sapphire, they're going for a fortune. So I just wanted to point this out. You guys may already all know this, but it is probably my favorite set moving forward, and I have no horse in this race. I actually don't own any good rookie Sapphires right now, so I'm not trying to pump up my own market. I don't have anything. I collect too much Mookie Betts, and in 2014 they didn't have Sapphire. And same with Mike Trout in 2011. So I just want to say a few more things about the product before I let you go. The first one is that ultra rare sets, like Dynasty, Diamond Icons, Definitive, Transcendent, all of these products that are so expensive for somebody to get into, they're not as iconic as Topps Chrome Sapphire. Topps Chrome Sapphire focuses on the base card, which will help it be recognizable, and it's plentiful enough without being too plentiful that people are going to want it, just like those Topps Tiffany's in the 1980s and 1990s. On top of that, like I said a second ago, the use of Topps Chrome helps make this set match the flagship images, which is important for value. Follows Topps Tiffany super well, and collectors are really drawn to like the history of the hobby. I think subconsciously they know that it's like a descendant from Topps Tiffany, especially those that have been in the hobby a while. Anyways, I just think this will always be viewed as the best non-numbered Topps Chrome card out there, and Topps Chrome is always going to be one of the very best cards of a player to collect. Topps Chrome is king, and I think Topps Chrome Sapphire is the king of all kings. And another thing that I think will really help this set long term is the fact it's having so much success in other sports. You see Formula One, you see soccer, they're both performing really well with Topps Chrome Sapphire. Some of the biggest cards in all of both of those sports are from this set. They're pushing record sales, which I think will only help the long term for the baseball set, So overall, I really like Topps Chrome Sapphire. I think as an investment, it's a great place to put your money. Hard thing is right now, it's hard to recommend buying anything because the market is slightly down, so take on the risk that you think you're comfortable with. But if you're going to buy a rookie of anybody, this is a great way to go. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know in your comments down below what you think of Topps Chrome Sapphire, if you're as bullish as I am on it, or if you're more bearish on it. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next episode.